Well, hello everybody. It's me, Alan Dorsey Jr., and I just want to thank you for your continued prayers and your continued voicemails, text messages, and emails. You just don't know how uplifting those items can be. Well, I want to give you another update and explain. First of all, I was off the grid for about 4 days. And you can tell my voice is a little raspy tonight, and I'm sure that I'll come back. But once I came off chemo, that chemo first side effect kicked in big time. In other words, I had this C. diff diarrhea that I would not wish on anyone. I had significant pain in my stomach and significant nausea. In fact, the pain was almost unbearable. So for 4 days I was offline. I was not answering the phone unless it was my wife. I was not responding to texts unless it was her. The only people I was talking to was my clinical staff here at the hospital, because I wanted to follow their word, follow their guidance. And you know what? While my body was down, I was focusing on my mind, just to be very candid with you. Because you see, the medicine will hit my body, but I still have control over my mind. So as I was going through all that, I was saying, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. The other thing that I thought about was the Psalms 23rd prayer. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He restores my soul. I was just saying those positive aspirations as I walked through this journey. So I was out. I know several of you called my wife saying, where was Alan? He hasn't responded. And I think she gave you an update. So when that happens, just know if you call these times as I go through these side effects of the chemo, then I probably won't respond. Because at that time, my mind is telling me, peace, be still. It's time to rest. So for 4 days, I rested. The good news is that for 4 or 5 days prior to that, I ate like a horse. I was eating 3 times a day, double upping on meals. So guess what? When that diet came through, it had something to flush through. And I'm so glad it had something to flush through, even though I was going through. I tell you, the doctors came in and they explained to me what was going on. I said, okay, that's cool. And I read the papers and told me there was going to be a side effect. So the next side effect that I'm looking for is a loss of my hair. But you know, a good friend came to see me today. His name's Jerry, and he brought me the perfect thing for the cover of my head. I don't know if you can see that, but it says Destination Paradise. I lose my hair every day if I can get to paradise. And you know what? I'm going to make it to paradise. There's no doubt in my mind I'll make it to paradise. I want you guys to know that my faith is so very strong. And at the end of the day, as I call myself a Christian and I practice becoming a Christian, who else can I lean on but the strength of the Lord? He expects me to do what I need to do, while I allow Him to do what He wants to do according to His will. Now, just as a reminder, I'm still asking for 3 prayers for my family. Keep them lifted up as we go through this journey together. You know, my wife Deborah is so awesome. My boys are just so wonderful. They're handsome dudes too. They're handsome dudes. I think they get that from their mother. And then the second prayer is that my body is healed of this cancerous thing called acute myeloid leukemia. That is gone. That once this chemo, now that I'm off of it, that it puts me in full remission. Because if that occurs, I do not need a bone marrow transplant. So I'm asking for that as well. And again, I'm asking for you to have discernment with the clinical staff that's working on me, for me, and on my behalf. But it's not just me they're working on. They're working on other people up here too that are very sick people. But I do want you to know that I do believe that one of the prayers have been answered. I didn't have an appetite once I came off the chemo for 4 days, which is one of the side effects. So I hadn't eaten. And then as I went through that 4 days of being offline, I didn't have an appetite, which was good because I had enough in my system to pass through. But today they want to take me off that because I felt a little bit of my appetite coming back. But I think I got the best. He's not a doctor, he's a nurse practitioner, but he should be a doctor. And he is so awesome. His name is Adam. So I want you to lift Adam up by name and continue to call his name. And looking at my blood, he saw something that was very unique and called for an ultrasound. For me to go have an ultrasound right away, which was this morning. I did that. As soon as the ultrasound was over, he said, okay, he can go back and he can get something to eat. I wasn't hungry, so I delayed. Well, within an hour or so, he called back up to the nurse's station and said, Alan cannot have anything by mouth. He needs to go back on NPO, and I'll be up and explain it in a minute. Well, his knowledge and looking at the ultrasound required him to order another test called a CT scan. And they're looking all in my stomach because that's where I had the greatest pain while I was going through this. Well, they found something called a lesion that led to my intestines that if I would have eaten could have formed blockage. Think about that for a minute. You know, I'm not very smart about the whole body, but I keep saying as I've been in this hospital, the body is certainly a miracle. Well, if that goes in that blockage, then that means it can't get to my colon, it can't go through my liver, it can't go through my kidneys, and now I'm stopped up. And now they have to do another course of treatment, like put a tube up my nose, and then everything doesn't come out from the bottom, it comes out from the mouth. Well, he spotted that. So I know the prayer for discernment got through. I want you to hear me. The prayer for discernment got through. So if the prayer for discernment can get through, the prayer for no bone marrow can get through. I'm believing it. And as you pray it, I'm wanting you to believe it. Not having any doubt. Scripture says the person of a double mind goes any way the wind blows. My last edition. You got to be one-minded when you talk to God. And this is what I'm asking for. So I ask you to pray those prayers. Those are my specific prayers. And keep them going up. And keep calling. I'm behind on my email since I was off the grid for 4 days. I'm behind on my Facebook, believe it or not. I got a Facebook following because I'm a member of the John Maxwell team. And they just love me just as much as my other family loved me. And I just met them all in August of this year. But they're sending more prayers out through this various Facebook medium and through their various churches and communities praying for me. And I thank you all so very much. I had a John Maxwell member, Chris Robinson, come visit me today. He didn't have to do it. In fact, I said, just Skype me. He's a technology guy. You know that. He loves his iPad, his iPhone, because that's how he delivers his program. But no, he came up and sit and spoke with me for a minute. And he said in the Facebook fan, you know, we all got the challenge coins, right? And he pulled this challenge coin out, expecting me not to have mine. But I pulled mine right alongside of it. So he didn't get a free cup of coffee today. And guess what? He will never get a free cup of coffee because I take this program so very seriously. I think it's a godsend, and I know it is helping many people today. Well, that's my update. If you do come to the hospital and you're close, a couple of things to remember is that if you go to the valet desk, you can get some inexpensive parking tickets that are better than just going to the gate, especially if you plan to come back. For those of you who live in the Metrolink area, you can catch the Metrolink over, and I'm just a block away from that perspective. For those of you, of course, not in the area, keep sending me your texts, PM me on Facebook, and keep lifting me up in your prayer. As I close, this is a little longer than I intended it to be, but I want to say this. There were 2 messages that I received this week that I believe that we all need to have. One came from my youth pastor at our church, New Life in Christ, from Elder Barnes as he preached the Sunday morning service, which I did watch in all my pain and glory. And the other one came from Pastor Cecil Johnson from my old church, Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church, which I'm still connected to in a lot of ways. And both messages were, you must have mountain-moving faith. Mountain-moving faith. If you're going to have faith of anything, ask God to move a mountain. Why not? He's God, for God's sake. He can move the mountain. But we have to ask Him to move that mountain. And I'm asking you to pray that prayer, and all these prayers that I'm giving you is to have, as you pray it, have mountain-moving faith. Because that's what I have. There's nothing else I can have. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing I can do about it. It's in God's hands. And I am believing He's going to have a miracle. But whatever His will is, I'm accepting of that too. As I said before, He brought me to it. I know He'll bring me through it. And I don't know what kind of ministry is on the other side of it, but I know it's going to be one powerful ministry. Well, that's it. I'm at 11 minutes. I said I was going to keep this to 6, but I'm not going to have any written words with this one today, because I gave you that one. Just be mindful of my schedule that I gave you in the first one. Oh, well, some of you didn't get the first one, so maybe I'll have to remind you of what's the best time to call me or come visit me, because I am still running my mastermind, my leadership development mastermind groups. Let me be very clear. I'm working with leaders who want to become much more effective at leadership. So you see, I'm a leader among leaders. And my order and my charter, I believe, is to help them become more effective. Now, as I help them become more effective, guess what? I become more effective. One of the side effects is hiccups too, by the way. Well, thank you so very much for listening. And feel free to share this video with anybody. There's nothing off limits about it. And I want to thank all my visitors that came up to see me today. Sean Lisa, a friend that I call friend, came to see me today. Deacon Thomas from church came to see me today. Ella, not your husband, Jerry, came to see me today. Chris Robinson came to see me today. And of course, Francine Nicholson also came to see me today. And I think that was it. I might have missed somebody, but I'll pick you up on the next shot. So I had quite a few visitors, and then I had quite a few phone calls, and then I was returning quite a few phone calls. So thank you for all you do and all your glory, and may God continue to open up heavens. May God continue to open up the windows of heaven and pour out blessings on you that you cannot even sustain. Thank you again, and look forward to the next update.